Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. Let's allow a couple more minutes for everybody else to join first before we start the session for today. Probably we would start at 11:05. So let's allow some space for everybody to join, allow some time, and then we can start the session this morning. Oh, hi, Matthias. Welcome. Good morning. Okay, good morning, wonderful people. It's 11:05 today morning, and welcome. I'm going to welcome everybody with a very warm heart for joining this session. Session's called Crafting a Fitness Plan That Sticks, and I know that this is something that everybody wants to achieve at the beginning of the year, right? So it's always a plan that we decide on every single year. Is that this year I'm going to be a lot more healthier, right? But what happens is that along the way, perhaps in the first quarter, we actually get too many things happening around us, and that distracts us from being able to continuously allow ourselves to be fit, right? So it's a lot of things that happens within ourselves, our family, our friends, our colleague, our work, and all this incidents or all this um, minor information that happens around us, this thing that goes into our head just makes us forget about that year to year resolution that we have. And yes, Evelyn, exactly, it's a repetitive new year resolution, right? But today what I'm going to do is that I'm going to share something that might be useful, that this resolution would be something that sticks but not going to be the one that is repetitively set every year, right? So every year we say we want to lose 10 kilos. And then at the beginning of the following year, we gain 5 kilos, and then we want to lose another 10 kilos. Then the next year we gain another 5 kilos, right? So this is a routine that we want to break upon. But before I get into the whole webinar, I would like to share a story that I basically heard from a friend of mine a long time ago. And this is a story that was going on. Actually, this happened during the olden days in when the Native Americans were there, and it's a story that has been told from them, and it followed down to generations and generations, and now it became like a motivational story. I don't know how many of you have actually heard this story, but I'm just going to share this story to all of you who are on the call today, right? So this story actually starts with an old Cherokee, Cherokee, the Red Indians, who's actually teaching his grandson about life, right? And he went to his grandson and he said, "A fight is going on inside me, right?" And he said that to that boy, and he told that it is a terrible fight, and this fight is between two wolves. Okay, so the first one is an evil one, right? So he is always angry, he envies, he goes through sorrows, a lot of regrets in him, greed, arrogance, self pity, guilt, resentments, what else, right? Name it, inferiority, lies, false pride, feeling superior, and all those egos and everything else, right? But then there is another one, which is the good one, right? So the good one actually feels joy all the time, and have peace, full of love, hope, serenity, practices humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, name it, right? All the good things, being truthful, compassion, faith, and all these things, right? And the same fight is going around in everybody. So he told that. And then when he mentioned that to his grandson, the grandson thought about it for a while. And then he asked him, "So, Grandpa, if you're saying that these wolves are fighting inside you every day, like fighting inside everybody every single day, which one always wins?" And then the old Cherokee simply replied to his grandson, saying that the one that you feed is the one that will win. All right. So the lesson that we hear here is that if you feel that you are struggling to achieve your goal, then that struggle would always win. So, which means that you're always going to struggle forever. But if you feel that you are actually achieving success, and that success would always win. Right? All right. With that, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit. My name is Shasi. I have actually done psychology in my college days, but once I'm done with that, I started going into fitness immediately after I graduate. I just found that there's a relationship between mental health and physical health greatly. Um, so after college, I started going into getting certification of a fitness coach, and then as time goes by, 10, 15 years down, I started getting certification as a medical exercise specialist, right? So what is a medical exercise specialist? Medical exercise specialist is someone who actually integrates medicine together with fitness, and I have been doing this for the past 10 years as a medical exercise specialist, and today I'm here to share with you all those knowledges that I've learned all this while, all the patients I've working in the hospital. So all the patients and all the members that have actually reached out to me before this, and all the learnings that I've gotten from them, and I have figured out 10-pointer niche way on how we can stick to our routine a lot better, right? But before I proceed with the webinar for today, Michelle, maybe you can help me to put up a poll, and then we can see what's actually going on with everybody on the call today, and then we can talk about it later. Okay, so there we go. So the poll is up. I'm sure that everybody can see it. So what motivates you the most to maintain a fitness routine? So we have 42% of the audience who have actually answered. Let's get the balance, the other half, to go through this poll so that I have a little bit more insight on who I'm speaking with, and how I should be addressing some of the issues that you might be facing. Okay, we are almost at 60%. So we have another 40% of the participants who have not responded yet. Reaching 70%. Keep going, guys. Thank you so much for participating. Just continue just a little bit more, and then we can move on. Great. More people are replying. Again, what motivates you the most to maintain a fitness routine? So we are at about 70% now. Wonderful. We are almost reaching 75%. Hits 80%, and then we got to move on to the next poll. Okay, great. So, yep. So, with the answers that we have here, 60% of you mentioned that it's a combination of both intrinsic and extrinsic factors that affects your fitness routine the most. About 13% said intrinsic, about 5% said extrinsic, and 22% of you guys are saying that you're not sure. Okay, that's very clear for me, right? Thank you so much for answering this poll. Maybe we can go to the second poll now, Michelle. Okay, so this one is, what is your preferred strategy for overcoming obstacles in your fitness journey? I know that you all have had your thoughts and ways on how you want to do this, and then you tried and it failed, and then you tried again and it failed, and then you somehow, figuring out what works best. And maybe for some it has already worked, but for some you're still trying to figure out. But within these options, what do you think would be the best that would work for you, right? And it's, there's no right or wrong, but it's just for yourself. How does it work? What works best? Cool. We are almost about 50% there. I can see a mixture of all the answers here. It's very nice to see. Okay, we are at almost 70%. We reach 80, and we're going to move on and start with the presentation today. We have passed 70. Getting closer to 75 now. Okay, so when we look at these answers here, the obstacles that is being shared, we have the highest at 35%, which is adapting and being flexible with the routine that you have at the moment. And I am totally agreeing to that. Being flexible would be one of the most important things that we want to talk about and look at. The second one would be mindset shift. Okay, that's interesting to know. Right, okay. And the third highest answer that we have here is time management techniques. The next one would be support from accountability partners or communities. And the final one is, six of you actually answered that you don't have any obstacles in your fitness journey. Wonderful. I think for the ones that answered this, you probably have built up that mental resilience for you to be able to, just continuously move on and decide and have that routine check, and also a way for you to manage your time and also your flexibility in order for you to be able to stick to a routine effectively, right? So thank you so much for everyone who actually participated in this poll. It gives me a lot of insight on who am I speaking with. And with that, we would start with the presentation for today. So the first one I would like to talk to everybody here is about understanding the motivation that you have to have in order for you to be able to stick on with proper routine, right? And in order for that to happen, I also want to check with all of you here, right? So all you can do, what you can do is that you can just go to the chat right now, and just let me know how motivated are you in a scale of 1 to 5 to start a routine now, your fitness routine, and you think that it would actually stick. Okay, so just go to the chat and just let me know what do you think. Okay, cool, nice. Okay, we have some low ones. A lot of them fall in the range of 4 to 6, and then we have some 8, 7. Okay, 5. Wonderful. Okay, cool, nice. Okay, I have oh, Simon, hi, welcome. I have Simon who has 9. Um, let's see. Okay, wonderful. All right. Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, now I'm going to touch a little bit on what is intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. I think it's really important for you to understand motivation as a whole before we move on to identifying what really motivates you, right? So, the first one that I want to talk about is intrinsic motivation. So, what is intrinsic motivation? Right, so a lot of people think that it's a thing that gets us up and gets us going from within ourselves, how we tell ourselves to do it, right? But intrinsic motivation is a lot more greater than that, right? So for you to be able to have intrinsic motivation, um, you need to understand how this motivation is created in the first place, right? So if you don't understand how these motivations are created, then it's very hard for us to understand what it is that motivates us. Okay, so number one, intrinsic motivation is something that gives you a sense of completion within inside, and extrinsic motivation is a reward that you receive from outside, right? So these are the clear definition of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. But what makes you get that intrinsic motivation could be something that you had in your past. Maybe you have been body shamed before and you want to change that, right? Maybe you have had a colleague who challenged you and you want to prove to them that you can, right? So that's a little bit of intrinsic and extrinsic there. But maybe you saw one of your family members suffered from a chronic disease before this, and you don't want yourself and to suffer through the same thing, and you don't want others around you to suffer through the same thing, and you want to build something that is lasting for yourself and everybody else. So that's intrinsic, right? Um, some of the extrinsic motivation cause would be one of it, which I mentioned earlier, is that someone challenged you. So that's an extrinsic motivation. So if you win that challenge, you probably get something out of it. Maybe it's a marathon with a 10,000 ringgit prize, winning prize, right? And you want to work towards reaching that, right? And then maybe you want to um, participate in a bodybuilding competition, or maybe you want to participate in biggest loser challenge, right? So there's so many things that happens out there, right? And I know a lot of people here on the call that your corporations, your company has actually organized all these challenges that allows you to achieve something and you get rewarded for that. So these are basically extrinsic motivation, right? But what I would like to ask, or what I would like to request for everybody in this call to do, is to reflect on your personal motivation, number one, right? So if you have a pen and a pencil or a laptop or keyboard or whatever, what you need to do first is to reflect on your personal motivations, right? What for, your motivations for wanting to establish or improve your fitness routine. So you need to know exactly what you want to have first, right? So be it extrinsic, be it intrinsic, write it down clearly on a piece of paper or your laptop or notes or whatsoever, why you want to establish or improve your fitness routine. So that's number one, right? And then number two, I'm going to go for the next slide before we put a pause. So number two is setting realistic goals, right? I am very, very sure that all of us have heard that, smart goal is out there, set your goal smart, and things like that. And we have heard this concept of smart goals every now and then. But then again, when we really, really try to achieve something, do we really set a smart goal? Now, I want to ask anybody on this call here, right, who have achieved something in their life, not necessarily a fitness goal, but achieve something in their life by following SMART goal. Just type 1 if you have and 2 if you have not. You have tried it, but it didn't work. Let's look at the chat. Okay. We have a lot of people saying 1. Nice. Never use SMART goal. That's all right. I'm going to share with you how to use it. Okay. A lot of people have used and worked. Cool. All right. So we have a variety here, right? We have a lot of people who have achieved it. We have some people that have not achieved it. But the question is, why have not we achieved it when it comes to our fitness goal, right? So now this is something that we have to really think about. So number one, your goal has to be very, very specific. So now I have an option number one, which is, okay, so within that specificity, let me explain 2 examples. Example number 1, the goal is I want to lose 10 kilos this year, right? Because I saw that somewhere earlier in the chat that you want to lose 10 kilos this year. Okay, so that's option number 1. Option number 2 is that I want to achieve 1 kilo every 2 weeks for the next 5 months, and I would gauge myself to see if I've managed to achieve that. If not, I want to try to adjust a little bit more and see if I can achieve a different number based on my growth for the following 5 months. That's option number 2, right? And to be a little bit more in detail, option number 2 says, I want to do this by setting aside some time every other day in a week, a minimum of 30 minutes. And I want to make sure that in that 30 minutes, I want to be able to perform at least this much of activity, and that it's going to help me to build some muscle that will allow me to lose that weight that I want to. Now, both works, but what works better is the option number 2, right? Because you are being very, very specific about what you want. That's number 1. Okay. Number 2, that this is actually measurable, right? So you want to have 1 kilo loss every 2 weeks. So that's really clearly measurable. Is it achievable? Yes, it is, right? So rather than saying that I want to have 10 kilos in a year, if I break it down into smaller chunks, it's a lot more achievable. Now, being relevant, is all this matters, or how will this contribute towards the goal that I want to achieve? So by doing weight training, by doing cardio training, by eating lesser calorie deficit and all that, is that going to help? And if it does, then it's relevant to your goal. Now, time bound, always make sure that you have a very clear timeline on how much you want to achieve. So example, if I say 10 kilos in a year, up to the 6th month, I still haven't lost a kilo yet. So what I'm going to say, it's all right. I have another 6 months for me to achieve the 10 kilos. So when we set it too broad and not too specific, then we would see that it really doesn't work, right? So let it be specific, let it be measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? And I see that some people here is on the call saying that measurement for muscle strength, we can measure all that, right? Muscle strength, hypertrophy, size, performance, power, all that can be measured, right? But maybe that's something that we can talk about a little detail after the webinar. And also we have someone saying here gaining 3 kilos in 2 months. That is certainly achievable, right? But let's move on. Okay, so before we move on to the next slide, I'm just going to pause for a bit. In the first slide and second slide, we spoke a little bit about, what is your motivation and how you want to set these goals, right? Anybody on the call here have any questions in the first 2 slides? I'll allow 2 questions before we move on to the third slide. Okay, cool. Looks like there's no question. So now an activity that you have to do is take out a pen and on the same sheet of paper or your laptop, write down your SMART goal, right? Number 1, you have written down what is your motivation. Now, number 2, take a pen and paper, write down your SMART goal. Now, let's look at number 3. Slide number 3 is talking about finding your way, right? So what is it that it means by finding your way, right? So let's look at what finding your way is. Now, everybody would have a reason, right, on why you want to pursue a fitness routine, right? Now, it can be many reasons, right? It can be, again, as I said, body shamed in the past. It can be because you broke up and you want to prove that you're better now, right? And that's a lot, that's like a common thing that we hear from a lot of male especially, right? So after they break up, they want to go to the gym, build their body, be better. It's a sense of achievement that you have became someone better. It's a sense of pride, that you have, that when you get to a physique that you love and to a health status that you always wanted, it's a sense of achievement, right? So it could be something along that line, or it can be just that I've never done anything in my past and I just want to do it, right? And it also can be like, yeah, here I have Nur Farhana, who said that bedridden for 3 months due to my stroke. And the motivation from the partner and the physio continues to exercise now, is able to walk and resume work. Yeah, so this could be something, right? So these are all the things that could have could have happened in your life. And now I want you to explore a little deeper, right, on why do you think that you want to have this fitness routine, right? Like here we have Fajar saying that reach 10 kilometer running personal at 52.5 within 3 months of block trading. Okay, wonderful. But the question is, why do you want to have that, right? So question that why. Until you identify that why, it is not going to be easy for you to find the deeper reasons that you want to have to achieve this goal, right? And then now, once you have identified that why, try to find the connection between your personal values and that fitness goal that you set, and how aligned are these two, that you have, that you want to do, right? Because when you can have this alignment of these two, then it actually enhances the commitment for you to be achieving these goals a lot better. So now try to find that personal value of yours and connect it with the fitness goal that you have, right? And find out that alignment and write that down in that piece of paper that you have or in your notes right now. Okay, cool. And I have a lot of people here saying staying strong, maintaining body weight, keeping fit, maintain 150 minutes of cardio every week. Okay, all these things are very, very important things that we need to have in life, right? Now, after you've written that down, reflect um yourself. I mean, have some reflection to identify the deepest why, right? So first, find out what is it that you want to achieve. Second, find out if it is aligned with your personal values, right? And then if it is aligned with your personal values, number three, figure out that deeper why. Why is it in line with your personal values? Why is it in line with your goal, right? Try to find that out. Okay. So while you're typing on that or writing that on a piece of paper, I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is creating a balanced routine. Now, we all see routines. Okay, generally on 8 to 9 out of 10 people gets a routine from someone else, right? They see internet, they say, okay, this routine looks, interesting. It probably works, right? And there is some fitness guru who comes in and says, okay, do this exercise or do this activity in your life, and this is going to increase longevity by another 10 years, right? And then there'll be someone else that says that, guaranteed six packs in 3 months, and then you follow that particular routine, right? And all this routine usually does not lead you to where you want to go, right? So try to identify what is the routine that you want to get yourself into. So I'm going to guide you through for you to write down, and maybe then you can try to figure out what is the routine that you want to have. So number one, the most important thing that I want to share with everybody here, that it has to be a balanced routine. So now when we talk about a balanced routine, so what is a balanced routine? Number one, it has to have strength training. Okay, so what is strength training? Strength training is something that you load upon yourself, which means it's either your body weight training, you're loading it, right? Like you do squats at home or push ups or whatever that you do at home, or you go to the gym and you lift some weights, right? It can also be where you run with a weight vest, right, or an ankle weight, and you do this training, right? So that's actually something um, that you do that increases your muscle strength, that increases your muscle endurance, that increases your muscle hypertrophy, that overall enhances the usability of energy a lot more effectively, right? So that's number one. Number two, include cardiovascular exercise. So what is cardiovascular exercise? So cardiovascular exercise, in its word itself, it's explained that it's an exercise that improves your cardio function. So your cardio function is your heart function. So what improvement does cardio exercise do to your heart function? Number one, it increases stroke volume, it reduces stroke pressure, it increases better circulation of blood, it increases muscle strength for your heart, so your heart can actually perform a lot better. What else does it does? It increase the ability for your body to pump enough blood sufficient to fulfill the activity that you're doing. So these are cardiovascular exercise. These are cardiovascular benefits. So what is cardiovascular exercise? Anything that you do repetitively for more than 10 minutes, right, with the same movement, most likely is considered as a cardio exercise. So if you're doing any exercise continuously for more than 10 minutes and you're repeating the same movement over and over again, such as walking, running, swimming, cycling, hiking, right? So these are so many exercises that you can do, skipping, skip rope, right? And all these things, right? So these are all considered cardio exercise. So these exercises primarily increases your heart capacity and your heart health. Now, the third type that you have to include in your routine is flexibility workout. Yeah, Zumba is definitely cardio. So flexibility workout. So what is flexibility workout? So the ability for you to touch the bottom at the ground without bending your knees, right? So you bend over forward and you touch the ground without bending your knees. So your muscles are flexible enough. Yoga is a way that you can actually improve your flexibility as well, right? And the final one that I want to focus here is resting, right? So when you talk about balanced routine, you must have strength training, you must have cardiovascular exercise, you must continue your flexibility routine, and most importantly, you need to rest. So it's okay if you take a day or two off from your gym routine or your exercise routine, just for you to stay at home and let your body recover from all the damage that it has had during these activities. These are good damages, right? So it's okay to damage your body so it repairs and becomes better. So take your rest. Now, how do you customize your routine? Right, yes, we have to include all this, and then like it's a perfect thing, but how do you actually customize your routine, right? Number one, good rest is part of training. Yes, it is definitely a part of training, so have good rest. um, we can talk about sleep this a little, Leo, like maybe it's more personal conversation, but let's try to see if this could actually help you to figure out what are the perfect routine that we can have. So number one is actually setting down how many days in a week that you can perform an activity, right? So ideally, it says 150 minutes of activity per week, and you can break that down, right? So if you're going to do 50 minutes a day, and you can take 3 days in a week. If you take 30 minutes, then you take 5 days in a week. The type of activity can change according to where you are and what you're doing. Ideally, we want to have at least 2 to 3 days of weight training in a week, 1 to 2 days of cardiovascular training in a week, 1 to 2 days of flexibility training in a week, and the rest of the week you can actually rest, right? And you can even stagger it, right? So you can do exercise 2 days, rest a day, 2 days, rest a day, 2 days, rest a day. So that's absolutely fine. Okay, so this is something that I think is very important for us to understand and identify and let it move as how it's supposed to move in terms of your body accepting to the exercise, right? I will share some of the workout plans maybe towards the end of the webinar today, but I'm just going to move on to the next part, which is overcoming obstacles. Now, overcoming obstacles, we have a lot of obstacles when we come to our fitness routine, right? At the beginning, like when we did the poll, um, everybody said that this is a recurring goal that we set every year, right? So when we say that this is a recurring goal that we set every year, it literally means that this sticking to a routine has actually been an issue. So it is an obstacle. right? Now, let me share what are the common obstacle that people face, right? So number one is definitely time constraint, right? Time constraint is something that makes people not being able to exercise regularly, right? Long working hours, commitments, and all this stuff, right? So all this falls into time constraint. And then the second one, lack of motivation, right? Sometimes we have the time, but we choose to do something else, and then we decided, and we tell ourselves that oh, that is more important than this, right? And but it's not. You always have an option to leave that and go and do your exercise or stick to a fitness routine if you want to, right? The last one, which is not so common but it happens to a lot of people, is when someone hits plateau, right? And you hit plateau and then you feel like no matter how much you try to push yourself, things just don't change, right? And that after a while, because of this, unchanging environment, you decide to just say, "Fine, I'm not going to do it. Nothing's helping me anymore," right? And then you get back to your old habits and things start to change. Now, how do you want to overcome these obstacles, right? Um, Number one, time management techniques. It's actually very, very important. So for myself, what I choose to do is that I try to go for my walk, my run, my gym activity, or any other fitness activities the first thing in the morning. I wake up, I go down, I change, I go out, right? Before my breakfast, before anything that I do, I just go out and get things done, right? Um, all you need to do is to be able to set a minimum time that you need to engage yourself in an activity. So when I talk about minimum time, it it's actually affected by where you are at that moment, what is the environment that you are in, how you can actually use those environment to maximize your outcomes and whatnot, right? So don't worry if you don't have a gym membership. Don't worry if it's too dark and you don't want to go out and it's not safe. You can actually go in and get something done in your house for the first 20-30 minutes, right? That's okay. And for this question, like if it's okay to do after 7 p.m., that's absolutely fine, right? What is important if you're doing workout later in the evening is that try to do it at least 45 minutes after your meal. Or if you're doing it before your meal, then it's absolutely fine, right? So just try to maintain that. And the second thing that you need to do if you are doing it in the late evening is that make sure that you complete your workout at least an hour before you sleep. Why? Because when you exercise, your body heats up, right? So when your body heats up, it takes time to cool down. So if you go to sleep, you will not be able to sleep well if your body is in that level, this stage that it's being heated up still, right? And it's not cooled down properly yet. So make sure that you allow that time for the body to come back to a no more natural state and more relaxed state that it can actually go into a peace state whereby your melatonin is reduced and you can actually sleep better, right? And the um, have the thought have the idea of changing your mindset to a more positive, I wouldn't call it positive, but more productive mindset. So which means that in your daily routine, set a timetable whereby that time that you need to work out is one of the most important agenda for the day. So example, if you're in the office, you have to clock in at certain time, you're leaving at certain time. So those are important agenda. You somehow will try to make it to your office before that time, right? And you would want to do it on the dot. You don't want to be late. The same thing goes to your workout. So if you set it as an important task or an important activity that you need to complete at the day, it will make happen. Number three is the having varieties of exercise. So when we do the same exercise every day, number one, we'll feel pain, right? So body aches and it might stop us from going. And then you're going to repeat the same exercise, the body's going to ache again. But if you have a variety of exercise, the workouts that I shared earlier, then you would feel like, okay, I'm going to go today, I'm going to push myself, I'm going to have body aches. But tomorrow, I'm going to go and enjoy a more calmer kind of exercise that I don't have to struggle so badly to perform, right? So that gives you an option to have a more positive outlook towards the exercise that you want to do, right? And what you need to do right now for this slide and activity is to go to your paper or your note and list down the challenges that you are actually facing right now, the toughest challenges that you're facing right now, and then discuss the potential solution in your paper as well, right? So I'm just going to look at some of the chats here before I move on. So, okay, what is the best recovery plan, rest day plan? For someone who is an athlete, right? So you're planning to participate in an athletic uh, athletic event, or you have a run or any other athletic event. So what you do is that you have to ideally have active rest day, so which means that you do a slightly lesser intense workout, but that would actually allow your body and your muscles to retract a lot better and prepare itself for better pump the next time that you're going to work out. But for any other people who are not athletes, who are just general people who work out to be healthy and maybe have some other goals, build your body or become thin or whatever, your rest day should be something that you're resting at home, right? Just do nothing, spend time with your family, take your day as it is, as it goes. And if you're feeling a little bit guilty of being resting too much, then just go for a walk, right? You can go to a mall and walk for half an hour, and that's considered a workout, right? So that's number one. And then I'm going to talk about the second question, the next question here. Why do I feel like heavy-headed when I'm doing cardio? Right. So there are many reasons to that. So number one, I would say the most common one that most people feel that way is because the body isn't able to pump sufficient blood to the brain, because your other body parts are working during that exercise, and your heart has to focus on delivering enough and sufficient blood to those other body parts compared to your brain. So you feel a little bit lightheaded. So as time goes, when you get a lot more fitter and the heart gets a lot more stronger, then you feel that lightheadedness actually goes down. But this is actually something that you have to achieve through a planned program. We can talk about it a little later on this, right? And then we have, how about shower 15 to 20 minutes after a workout exercise? Will it matters as well? No, this is actually a myth. You can actually shower whenever you want. In fact, it's very important. It's good that you actually take an extremely cold bath right after your workout, because then it helps in preparing your body after the workout a lot better as well, right? So importantly, what I would suggest is to dry up first before you have your shower, because we don't want to promote bacteria growth, right? Fungus growth. So just dry up yourself, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it takes, how long it takes for you to be, dry. And then after that, you can go and take a shower. Is it okay to do sit up before sleep? It's okay to do sit up anytime, but sit up is definitely not the best workout that you do for your core, and it's not going to promote a safe environment for you to build your core without injuring your back. So we can talk about this a little later as well. Lost 30 kilos and currently aiming to reduce body fat. Okay. Squat segment, do you advise for this? Yes, weightlifting is one of the most effective way for you to lose weight in the right way, right? So losing weight usually encompasses water, fat, muscle, a lot of other stuff in your body, right? But weightlifting with proper satiety, that means having enough fiber in your body, will target more fat compared to any other sources of weight in your body. 15 kind of starts, but after that, I feel like, yes, your body is actually warming up for the first 15-20 minutes. Then once your body warms up, then your body feels a lot lighter to run, right? So first initial to start is obviously harder. Before breakfast, yes, it is. I work out almost every day before breakfast. And that's absolutely fine. Being sore literally means that your muscles are going through micro tears, and that has to be addressed by having enough protein for the muscles to repair effectively. So make sure that your nutrition is also taken care of properly. Um, yeah, that's all right. That's all right. As long as you continuously do these runs, that's perfectly fine. Finding time is one of the most important things, as I mentioned earlier. So that's absolutely fine. I'm on my ideal weight, but I have high body fat. How do I reduce that? Weight training again improves or increases your muscle mass and reduces your fat percentage. So you will still maintain in your ideal weight, but you will have more muscle compared to fat. Yeah, whey protein is absolutely safe, right? Don't worry about all the myths that you read. Whey protein is a source of protein that comes from milk, so it's absolutely safe. For those who have intolerance, lactose intolerance, probably you're going to feel a lot of air, vein circulation in your body. But other than that, it's absolutely safe. Okay, so I'm gonna move on, and we're probably gonna touch the rest of the questions later. Now, the next one that I want to talk about is building habits, right? So, once we identify what are the problems that we have, and how we want to, whether we have the motivation and what we want to achieve, and how we want to achieve it, and what is the problem, now we have to find a way of how we want to build that habit with making sure that our obstacles are taken care of first, right? So, what do you want to do in building habits? So, number one, we need to understand the science of habit formation first, right? And how these habits actually contribute to long-term success. So it is said that if you continuously work out for 21 days, right? So that's 3 weeks, then you would actually have more urge and eagerness to start having or getting into an exercise routine. And there's also scientific proof that says that if you can go on for 90 days and above, you have managed to create a habit in your life, right? So a safe time period for you to stick on with your routine is at least 21 days, right? And if you can go on for another 60 days after that, you literally have a strong habit, and it's quite hard to break. And even if you break that habit, chances for you to start back faster is a lot higher, right? And when that habit formation, when that habit is already formed, then it would certainly help you to have a long-term success as well. Now, the next one, habit stacking. So I want to talk a little bit about habit stacking, consistency, and environmental cues, right? So these are some of the things that we probably would have heard of, but we might not have. But then it actually builds up to something. So number one, if we tell ourselves to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, right, that's going to help us to go out and work out. So your idea is not to say that I want to work out every morning, but your idea is to say that I want to wake up at 5:30 every morning. And because of that habit that you create to wake up 5:30 every morning, you have that opportunity to stack up your workout after that, right? So when you stack up your workout after that, then what happens is that maybe after your workout, you probably do some reading because you have some time to before you start your work. So that actually sticks up, right? And then after reading, then you start work on the dot. So that actually sticks up, right? So when you keep on having something in the beginning that will allow all this to happen, all your other habits are going to slowly come up and actually fill up that gap. So now, when you continue this every day, then it becomes extremely consistent. And when it becomes consistent, then it actually becomes your environmental cue. So at least like at that a specific time, you feel that you don't want to do anything else. You just put everything aside, but you just focus on getting the things done, and you do it every single day. So most importantly, try to build that one habit that happens in the beginning. That would actually help you to build up that stacking of your habit, right? Now, again, maybe now what you can do is take your paper again, and on that paper and on your note on your laptop, write the actionable steps and tools that you can use to start integrating fitness habit into your daily life, right? So what is the most important thing that you need to do? If you say that after work I don't want to go and party, I want to go back home, that's actually an actionable step, right? And that's going to help you to build that habit as well. So now, yourself, write it on a piece of paper, what do you want to achieve. Now, I'm going to move on to the next one, which is quite an interesting topic, which is the mindset shift, right? So how does mindset shift affect you? It's really, really important, right? So I'm going to talk about the impact of positive mindset to overall fitness success, right? So for someone who face an obstacle and tells them that they want to somehow overcome that obstacle, and they feel that they can overcome the obstacle, and they start implementing actions to overcome the obstacle, there are chances for them to achieve their goal 80% more than people who only think of that obstacle. So again, you thought of it, you plan the work around it, and you start doing it, and you start tracking it. So this is number one, right? So create that positive mindset to be able to have these 4 steps in place, right? So understand that. Once you already understand that, then your fitness success becomes a lot more clearer. Okay. But I know this is not easy to be done because negative thoughts actually comes in a lot more, right? So on an average, a human being have around 50 to 56 to 60,000 thoughts in a day. And they said that 70 to 80% of those thoughts are usually negative thoughts, right? So how you want to empower the balance 20,000 thoughts, right? So how you want to get the 20,000 thoughts better than the 40,000 thoughts. So this is something that you have to practice every day, right? So ensure that your thoughts do not make you feel sad or angry or fearful, right? So all the negative feelings are derived from the negative thoughts that you have. We cannot control our thoughts, it's really hard, but we can control our emotions. So when we feel something from the thoughts that we have, we immediately try to feel something better, right? If you think that you want to go and have an ice cream, that's absolutely fine if it's going to help you feel better, right? Second thing is embrace your failure. Sometimes these negative thoughts come in and you just can't do anything about it, right? And it's just too overwhelming. And you probably couldn't go to the gym for the next 2 to 3 days or couldn't work out for the next 2 to 3 days. That's absolutely fine. Just say it's okay, it's happening now, but it's not going to continuously happen to me. And number three, cultivate the growth mindset. Again, right? It's happening to me now, but this is not something permanent. Tomorrow I'll be better. So this particular mindset is really, really important, right? And how you want to ensure that that happens easily. Now you have to integrate interactive elements, right? Maybe you can do mindfulness exercise and maybe practice visualization technique. Visualization technique is something that actually has worked for many, many people, including myself, whereby you visualize yourself in a position and a place that you want to be now. So the more you visualize it now, the more your body and your mind will start to think and work towards that, right? So now take out a piece of paper and write down all the interactive elements that you think that might work, right? So I've given two, which is mindfulness exercise and also visualizing. So just write down that and we can see how we can help on that, right? And the next one I'm going to go is to the next slide, which is the accountability and support system. Chances for you to be able to successfully stick to a routine is proven when you have someone that you can work with, right? So get a gym partner, get an exercise partner, go into a community. Maybe there's a hiking community somewhere. Be a part of that hiking community, right? Go to your Zumba class if you have to. Go to your group exercise programs in the gym if you have to. So get involved with other people and do the same exercise together. And this will actually help you to be a lot more uh, it gives you the strength to stick to your routine a lot more better. So please write down this in a piece of paper as well and tell yourself on, or write down what are some of the things that you can do, whether getting a gym partner or whether joining certain classes and whatnot, right? So just write it down. And I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is our second last slide. This is going to be on adaptability and flexibility. So when we talk about adaptability and flexibility, I want to stress the importance of being adaptable to a fitness routine, right? So yes, it is hard to get started, but again, 21 days of doing the same routine will create that adaptability as well, right? And you can stick to it a lot better, right? So what you need to do is that sometimes you feel that after doing certain exercise for a week, it just doesn't feel right? So if it doesn't feel right, feel free to revamp your exercise, adjust your workouts based on the changing circumstances. Maybe you say that you want to go to gym 3 times a week, but you just too busy with work and you can just do home-based exercise, right? And try to stick to that without losing the momentum of doing it, right? So this is number one. Number two is once you try to stick to that, make sure that you also have alternative exercises that you can perform and keep that in your storage so that at times that when circumstances don't allow you to do any of those that you're doing right now, you can always fall back to do something else, right? So make sure that you write that down on your paper as well right now, like what are the other things that you can do, right? So home-based workout, gym-based workout, go out for a swim, go for a hike, maybe go for some cycling, walking, going to the mall to stroll around, right? So all these are options that you have. So if you can't do one, always keep an alternative that you can actually go on and stick to. And then the final one that we have here is one of the most important one. always make sure that you celebrate your milestones, right? And this is something that I would always encourage my members in the app as well, in the Naluri app. Every time you lose even 100 grams, record it. That's your achievement, right? And if you see that 100 grams every day, in 10 days you're losing a kilo, right? And in 20 days 2 kilos, 30 days 3 kilos, right? So you can see this happening every single day, and make sure that you feel happy about it, you record it, you enjoy it, you share with your friends. And these are some things that we always want to follow through, right? So whatever actions that you put on, whatever actions that you take in your life, if you have achieved even the slightest improvement from that, make sure that you enjoy it, and always reward yourself. Importantly, don't reward yourself with food related matters, but make sure that it's non-food related matters. Maybe you can say that if I lose 10 kilo, I want to buy this beautiful dress, or I want to, go out and take out, my girlfriend for a special date or something like that, right? So try to have this reward system happening in you every now and then, right? So it helps to reinforce a positive behavior towards exercising as well. And now what I want you to do finally, right? I want you to share all the past successes that you have had, right? And how you want to plan to celebrate the milestone in your journey, in your own particular journey, right? So just take that and write it down, and keep this note that you have from the first slide until now, and look at it after we finish done with the webinar later, and we can have a short discussion on it, right? I mean, we can have a discussion on it on the app. Importantly, after this webinar, it doesn't stop here. Get onto the app, reach out to me. My name is Shasi. I'm a fitness coach on the app, and talk to me or any other fitness coaches. Any other coaches will be able to help you to replan and redesign, or maybe guide you along to stick to something that you always wanted, right? And with that, let me summarize what we have done today. So we have actually gotten to understand the importance of a holistic approach in building a very sustainable routine. So it's really, really important for us to, uh, first of all, identify what we have, and then setting a goal, and then looking at some of the barriers that we might face in the goal, write that down, and then find ways that we can actually approach those goals. Split it up in bite-sized chunks so that you can work on one thing at a time. Have options on how you want to work on this chunk. So don't focus on one thing, but have multiple options on how you want to focus on this chunk. And once you achieve all this, make sure that you celebrate yourself and you reward yourself, right? So with that, I want to open the floor for any Q&A that you might have. But before that, let me just address some of this that came in during the webinar itself. Okay, I've answered all this. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about being plateaued, right? So I think I touched this a little earlier, being plateaued. But I guess this is something that we have to really plan effectively. We have to look at what are the workouts that we are doing, why you're being stagnant and not growing. So there are actually ways to trigger muscle growth, and that's very important for us to understand. But it's a little bit more science than just sharing here. But I think. Amirul, if you want more information on this, please reach out to myself or any other fitness coaches on the app, and we'll be definitely able to help you to talk about this growth a little bit more. You don't know how to use the gym routines? No problem. We have consultation calls that you can actually get yourselves into. Get on the call, speak to us. We will demonstrate how to use all these equipments in the gyms and dumbbells and whatnot, and then you can actually go and try to use it yourself. And I think for most members of Naluri, all these services of consultation is absolutely free. Um, Non-meat proteins are absolutely fine. I mean, we have a lot of non-meat protein options. What matters is the absorption rate and the amount of protein that we take in, to make sure that we supplement ourselves with enough macros for the benefit of our body as well. Is it okay to sacrifice sleep for sake of workout? No. Sleep plays a huge role. So just workout without proper sleep is not going to help you. It's going to It's going to make you hit plateau, and you're probably going to lose the momentum as well. So make sure that you sleep sufficiently, and sleep doesn't have to be in one go. Sleep can be in multiple short naps. Uh, but make sure that you have enough sufficient sleep for you to be able to get that benefit of the workout. Um, Intermittent fasting, that's all right. If you feel that it works for you, that's okay. So the whole idea of losing calories is the idea of it is to make sure that you have a deficit of calorie. So when you do intermittent fasting, it allows a shorter window for you to eat, which means you're not eating all the time and your calorie is in deficit. But then again, even if it's an intermittent fasting, if you choose the food which is very high in calorie, very high in fat, very high in sugar, it's still not going to help, right? So the idea is to reduce calorie intake. So it's not so much about how long it takes you to eat, but to reduce calorie intake. So if you're going to eat lesser during that, if you're going to eat normally during that period of eating, then that's fine. But if you're going to load yourself with a lot of calorie during that period, then that's not good. Um, Okay, so yes, so the big white patches is actually the growth of fungal. So you have to make sure that your body is dry and not sweaty before you take a shower. It has to be completely dry. So that will actually promote that'll actually cut off the promote of fungal growth in your body. Busy with work 4 hours to 5 hours per night. Is it better to just continue working out for the week or rest for the whole week? Well, I would suggest to listen to your body a lot more. If you feel that your body is continuously being tired, then I would suggest for you to take that rest that it needs first before thinking of exercising. Is it safe to work out for time? Is it like me or I'm free? Okay, as I mentioned earlier, for some people it's okay, right? So even after they work out, they go and sleep, they go lie down, they shower, they lie down, they can sleep immediately. But for a majority of people, they are not able to sleep immediately because the body is still cooling down, and I would suggest that allow that time for cool down before you go and sleep. I think I covered the next one on intermittent fasting already. Uh, Okay, so this is a very interesting question. What makes my mindset shifting from not exercising to exercising is that I feel just like high and calmness on my mind when I just finish exercising. Then I feel energized to finish my daily routine after my exercise finish. I think this is a very good statement, right? So let me just read it out one more time. What makes my mindset shifting from not exercising to exercising is that I feel just like high, like addictiveness and calmness in my mind when I just finish exercising. And this happens to a lot of people who have already had that routine going, right? And then I feel energized to finish my daily routine after my exercise finish. Yes, even though you use a lot of energy while exercising, most of the time you will feel a lot more refreshed once you exercise, right? Is planking good for core? Yes, it's definitely good for core. You can continue doing planking, but do not focus on just doing planking all the time. Have a variety of a full body exercise as well. Been losing much weight recently, but flabby arms and legs. Yes, it's because the lack of muscle mass in your body. Your exercise is not loaded enough for your muscle to be growing. It's not supporting your muscle growth enough. So hence that flabbiness. So you have to incorporate more weight training into your routine so that you can have a more firmer body and leg. Yes. Um, that's normal. Spotting is actually normal. What happens is that the pressure, the load, the impact that you're doing during your exercise would cause someone to have spotting even a few days before your period and maybe a few days after your period has ended. It's actually absolutely normal, right? And this happens because your elevated hormones happening in your body when you exercise, and this is like a normal thing that happens to a lot of women, and they actually feel weird, right? And please do not look at it as something abnormal. It's a common thing for someone who is actively exercising for a long time, and this is the way that the body is adapting to the exercise routine, which is actually very good. Increases libido, increases possibilities of childbearing. So a lot of other stuff happens at the same time as well. I'm sorry. Okay, fine. Right. We can still do a 15-20 minutes muscle strength and agility programs. Please do reach out to us, Maria, and we can certainly talk about it a lot more. um, okay, and I think the next one would be okay on keto diet. As I mentioned earlier, it's more on calorie deficit. So if you feel that keto diet helps you to have that calorie deficit, then that's absolutely fine. um, Can we still gain muscle after retirement age? Yes, you have to do more weight trainings, right? So I'm at the age of 45, and I try to maintain my muscle mass at about 45% in my body. So I think with doing a lot more weight training, then it actually helps you to gain that muscle mass better. when we go older, we have something called sarcopenia, and this is actually something. It's a natural way for the body to lose muscles. But we can talk about this in the app. Please reach out to me, Young, and we can talk about this a little more. Rest exercises. Okay, so in terms of resting, please allow your body to rest. Not okay. So you need to work out within 72 hours from your past workout. So if you want to rest 1 or 2 days, then that's absolutely fine. Okay. How to reach out to you, coach? Okay, you can speak to me on the app. So just download the Naluri app for those who have not, and for those who have, you can go to the chat function, and then you can just say hi on the chat function in the fitness coaches channel, and the fitness coach will reach out to you. But if you prefer to speak to me, then you can just say hi, Sashi, and I will be more than happy to reach out to you as well. um Okay, can you still get beginner's gain after long? Yes, you can certainly get beginner's gain. That's no problem. You're most welcome, Alia. And Hafiz say lose belly fat. This is something that we have to talk a little bit more in detail, Hafiz, right? So please reach out to me and I can explain to you a little bit more in detail about all this belly fat and how you want to increase muscle mass and lose those fats as well. Um, Visceral fat, same thing. It's calorie deficit, Azida, and also high intensity workout. But again, it has to have a very structured plan routine. So please do reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to speak to all of you about that. All right. And I think with that, we don't have any more questions. And I would like to convey my greatest gratitude to everybody who joined this session. I had a lot of fun answering all your questions. And I know that this is something that we want to start right. So let's start right and let's end it right as well. Please reach out to us. Please use the functions on the app, your weighings, your food journal. End of the day, if you are able to get to us, we will be able to get back to you and ensure that your goals are also uh, being a part of our goals, right? So with that, again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And I am going to leave this to Michelle to proceed from here on. Oh yes, and for everybody on the call, you if you haven't given the feedback, please go in and leave a feedback. It will allow us to improve ourselves a lot better in the future as well. So just yeah, just give me a point of view, and I would like to hear from everybody here today to see how we have done as well, and to improve our future webinars. Thank you so much, everybody. Again. You're welcome, everybody. Bye.